continues to get the kind of attention they shouldn't want. All right, again, Colin Cowherd is making a point to talk about the WNBA again. He does it now multiple times a week, but only when it comes to one player, or in this case, one player and what it is the rest of the league is doing to.
So now we're really doing this. Trading Caitlin Clark isn't just late-night fan fiction anymore. It's an actual debate. Just when Indiana Fever fans were finally starting to breathe normally, here comes Colin Cowherd launching a take so hot it feels sponsored by gasoline. Say what you want about him. Dramatic? Always. Subtle? Never. But completely off base? That's where it gets interesting. Because once you peel back the shock value in the talk show theatrics, you're left with a question that could split the basketball world in half. Is this reckless noise or uncomfortable truth?
Caitlin Clark finished 9th in player voting. In fact, she finished behind one of her own teammates in player voting. The pettiness has no bounds. For years, the WNBA players were pointing fingers. They were saying people are sexist, we're not being promoted, we're underappreciated, and then they get the golden goose and they don't like what it looks like. When the wave hits, ride it. They wanted to fly private. They wanted to be more popular. They wanted sold out arenas. They got it. I wouldn't have guessed that Caitlin Clark would be this.
So here we go again, watching the WNBA flirt with chaos like it's part of the marketing plan. Instead of doubling down on momentum, building smarter rosters, and capitalizing on a surge of new fans, the latest brilliant plot twist floating around is to ship Caitlin Clark out like she's some collectible card you flip for value and call it long-term strategy. As if that wouldn't detonate the entire ecosystem. This wouldn't just rattle the Indiana Fever. It would send shockwaves through ticket sales, ratings, sponsorships, and every front office pretending this is just normal business. You don't casually move the league's biggest spotlight and expect the stage not to collapse. That's not strategy. That's lighting a match and acting surprised when the whole operation goes up in flames.
This is clearly them cutting her down, because when you look at fan voting, obviously Clark is one, right? Because she has the most fans in the league. So that clearly biased. You go to the media voting.
She was 3.
She was 3. That actually makes sense.
I agree. She's not having the best of years this year. She's actually, her shooting is down.
Exactly.
There's been a number of situations that she's just not played her best ball. But she is still much, eons better than a lot of the other players that they voted in front of.
Let's call it what it is. If you trade Caitlin Clark, you're not just shaking up a roster. You're detonating the one sure thing the WNBA can bank on right now. This isn't about losing a point guard. It's about losing the storyline, the magnet, the gravitational pull that's been dragging casual viewers, sponsors, and skeptics into the arena. She's not just running plays for the Indiana Fever. She's carrying the spotlight for an entire league that's been craving this level of mainstream heat for years. Tickets, jerseys, TV segments, debate shows, her fingerprints are everywhere. You move her, and you're not making a basketball decision. You're gambling with momentum, relevant, and the one narrative that's actually cutting through the noise.
A university professor in finance looked up the value of Caitlin Clark for the WNBA. This is insane. So this year, last season in the WNBA, Caitlin Clark was 26.5% of all economic activity as a rookie on the worst team in the league when she entered it. So now she has an 8-year, $128 million deal with Nike. So, she's going to eat. Merchandise in the league went up off a rookie from a Midwest-based school on the worst team in the league.
Oh, it absolutely escalates. Now, we're not just tossing around trade rumors like the WNBA has a warehouse full of interchangeable stars. We've added a full-blown soap opera coaching twist. The same figure who once watched Caitlin Clark take contact like it was background entertainment is suddenly handed the clipboard and introduced as the solution. That's not irony. That's suspicious timing with a press release. And fans of the Indiana Fever aren't blind. When rotations start feeling selective, when momentum gets iced at the exact wrong moments, when a supposed system looks less like structure and more like resistance, people notice. This doesn't feel like stylistic disagreement. It feels like friction disguised as philosophy. Clark isn't just being subbed out. She looks strategically muted. And when a generational draw seems boxed into a scheme that doesn't amplify what makes her dangerous, it stops looking like development and starts looking like containment. That's not chemistry. That's a Cold War in sneakers. And the tension shows every time the spotlight flickers.
I'm not going to ignore, nor am I going to take my eyes off of what transpires with the WNBA over the next 2 weeks while Caitlin Clark is out with the quad strain. And the reason why is because, let me tell you something right now. I'm not going to go to word hate. I'm not going to be out there like RG3 was saying that Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark or other players hate Caitlin Clark. But I will say this. I don't think it's specific about Caitlin Clark. I think it's what Caitlin Clark represents. See, it's no fault of Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark balled. She balled at Iowa in college. She's balled since she's been in the NBA. She came into the league last year with no break whatsoever between the college game and the pro game and did it.
I get why it feels that way. When momentum meets resistance, the easy explanation is control. Control the narrative, control the star, keep the spotlight on a leash. And yeah, when a league like the WNBA finally has sustained national attention, every decision suddenly looks bigger, louder, more calculated, especially when it involves someone like Caitlin Clark, who isn't just productive, she's powerful in terms of brand gravity. But here's where we've got to stay grounded. Leagues don't usually kneecap their own revenue engines on purpose. Control is a tempting storyline, but front offices are obsessed with sustainability, contracts, cap space, locker room dynamics, long-term roster balance. Sometimes what looks like silencing the star is a clash between marketing momentum and basketball philosophy. And those two don't always move at the same speed. With the Indiana Fever, it could be friction between system and superstar, sure. It could also be rookie adjustment, defensive concerns, or attempt, smart or clumsy, to round out her game. Benching a high-usage scorer doesn't automatically equal political sabotage. Sometimes it's bad strategy. Sometimes it's ego. Sometimes it's just a coach stubbornly committed to their scheme. Now, are fans allowed to question it? Absolutely. When you got the league's biggest draw on the floor, optics matter, rotations matter, messaging matters. If the plan is trust us, but the execution looks chaotic, people fill in the blanks, and they won't fill them in kindly. Key difference is this: calling it a Cold War makes great content. Proving it requires evidence beyond vibes. Right now, what we can clearly see is tension between expectation and execution. That's real. But jumping straight to coordinated suppression, that's a leap. Still, if you got the most electric scorer in the building and your version of safe is shrinking her impact, you better be winning. Because if you're not, fans won't buy development. They'll buy conspiracy. And that's when the narrative actually does get out of control.